Sure.
Break that. Okay. All right. So Paul, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it away. And then you just tell me when you would like me to forward to the next slide. Okay.
Sure. My name is Paul Cummings. I'm the National Sales Manager for Zimmer Medicine Systems. Obviously, we're going to be discussing shockwave therapy and how it can change your practice. Being that I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to kind of invoke the inner Queens person in me. We're going to speak very quickly, so hopefully we can get it squeezed in. Go ahead, next slide.
Oops, sorry, 1 second. Okay.
But you all know what shockwave therapy is and what it does, so I'm not going to get into that. But basically, here's the conditions it does treat: plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, which you cannot inject with steroids, so it's a nice option for that. Ulcers, neuromas, diabetic neuropathy, which we're releasing a study soon with one of our doctors who's going to be discussing it. So it's a great modality for treating all kind of chronic foot, heel, and ankle pain. Next slide. How is it positioned in your practice? You want to tell patients it's a quick, effective, non-invasive, and most of all, convenient treatment option for them. The treatments only take 5 minutes once a week. Average patient needs around a total of 4 to 5 treatments spaced 1 week apart. So it's not a lot of time for you or your staff. There's no downtime, and patients continue their activities the same day, which is great. A lot of patients, if someone's a runner or they're on their feet all day long, they don't have to sacrifice anything with this treatment. There's also no combination therapy needed. No icing, stretching, NSAIDs. It's a standalone treatment, just designed 5 minutes once a week. That's all you have to do. No protocols, no homework, nothing.
Other than we want patients in some kind of a medical grade or custom orthotic, of course. And I like the doctors to present this as the lazy man lobster kind of version of treating heel pain, Achilles tendonitis, things like that. Patients like me who are just generally non-compliant and maybe will ice, stretch, rest for a day or two. And like, that's it.
Right. This is, again, we can offer you shockwave therapy instead of. So steroid injections, some patients are afraid of needles. They're holistic. They've had a couple injections already. Wearing a night splint, that's going to disrupt their sleep for weeks. Again, if you put me in one, I don't sleep well to begin with. It's not going to go well with me. So what's my options? Sending patients physical therapy. This is the biggest one. If you do this, I'd say a good 90% of your patients will opt for shockwave. You tell them you have to go 2 or 3 times a week, 6 weeks for an hour each time. Most patients are like, oh, I don't have time for that. And you have to remind them there's a $40, $50 copay with every single time they come to you, go there, or they come to your office once a week for 5 minutes for a quicker, more effective result for the same, if not less, than out-of-pocket cost. It's much more attractive. And then surgery. If a patient comes to you and says, the doctor said I need surgery, what are my options other than that? Then you have one. All right. If you were offered a free shockwave system, would you take it? I'll let you think about this for a second. Next slide. Yes, there is a catch. But the catch is you have to treat 1 patient per month. Does that still sound enticing? So I say you get a free shockwave system, but the catch is you have to treat 1 patient. Average revenue is $500 to $600 per patient nationwide for the package. Monthly payment for the Impulse Pro system is $379 per month. So as you can see, if you treat 1 patient, you're covering your cost and you're still profitable. So yes, it's a salesman thing to say it's a free system, but again, 1 patient per month technically makes it free. Everything
well, if you have a, any podiatry practice, I'm not even going to say busy podiatry practice, any podiatry practice, and you don't have at least 1 patient per day that you could be talking about this to, there's a problem.
Right. And there you go. 1 patient makes the profit. If you were to treat 1 patient per week, that's $2,000 a month in new revenue, which is $24,000 more per year. Again, all for $379 a month.
That's $24,000 is debriding a lot of toenails for $30 a patient reimbursement.
Correct. Yep. Look at that. Surprise lady. Wow, I can do that. Next slide. What else does that 1 patient per month get me? So it enables you to add the modality to your website and promote new technology to potential patients, keeping up with the Joneses. The 1 patient gives you the ability to compete with other practices in your area. It shows that you're staying current and keeping up with the changing times. Patients today are on Google for everything, including which doctor or practice they should go to. If they click on your services tab versus another practice, and they have a lot more options, I hate to say it, which one do you think they're going to go to? Best example I give you, if you're a baker, maybe silly, and you make the best bread in town, And then another bakery opens up. They make pretty good bread too, but they offer cupcakes, pastries, cakes. They're going to attract a lot more consumers just because, and customers, because they offer more. Don't lose potential patients to other practices that do offer more. Again, you don't have to get everything under the sun, but you need to offer patients something that they're looking for that other practices are as well. You don't have to figure it out on your own. We'll give you all the tools you need to succeed. We'll give you training on how to use the system, but more importantly, we'll help you on how to present it to your patients, what to say, what not to say, how to overcome objections. So if you're concerned, like, oh, I hate sales, I'm not good at it, you don't have to be a salesperson. It's just a matter of having the right conversation with your patients, and we'll help you just give you that 30-second elevator pitch, just enough. You don't want to spend 20 minutes trying to convince patients. 30 seconds, this is a great modality. I think you should do this. High success rate's been around for over 20 years. I think it's your best bet.
And don't wait until the patient comes back for their second, third, or fifth visit and they're being totally non-compliant. And then you say, oh yeah, well, we do have this other modality that we could try on you. And then the patient says, well, why didn't you tell me about that in the beginning?
Yeah, exactly. This is not a last resort. We're going to exhaust everything else before Shockwave. On the very first visit, you're saying, hey, here's a great option for you. Let patients know you have it. Just like Cindy said, if you go through everything before and it doesn't work, I could have been, I could have been on the road to recovery 4 weeks ago. So again, this is not a last case resort. We give you marketing, post-treatment instructions, all the patient forms you need, patient videos, etc.
Yeah, and that's really important that you have up-to-date, marketing materials in the office and on your website, because without it, patients don't even know that you have it. And I found that all the time when a doctor reaches out to me, I always look on their website, kind of check them out, see what kind of practice it looks like. And I'll ask them about, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? And they'll say, yeah. I said, well, I couldn't find it on your website. So as a patient searching, I wouldn't know.
Right. We also provide you with marketing of your stand-up banner for your waiting room, which is really great because, as most of you know, if you have patient brochures, they're good, but they kind of get lost with everything else. This is a banner that sits in your waiting room that no patient can miss. It's 5 feet high, 2 feet wide. I would hope you have the room for it. But right here, you can see what we can do for you. We'll design it together. But the message is, hey, ask us about this technology. I usually encourage the staff to get involved in the conversation. The more people that know about it in your office, the more people can talk about it, the better your chances are for patients to say, hey, what is this where everybody keeps talking about? Then you go in and you kind of knock it out of the park and close it up.
And the staff is absolutely essential. We'll talk more about that later. They should be a part of your initial training. Whatever new ancillary service you get with all the bells and whistles, and you spend all this money, and then you have someone sitting at the front desk that has absolutely no idea what it is, how it works, why it's not covered by insurance, does it hurt, how often the patient needs to come back. So make sure you include your staff in all of the trainings that you as the physician obtain when you first bring whatever new shiny, machine into your office.
Right. And just to touch on that, it's, if the person worked at the front desk, let's say the patient's checking in, they say, they're signing their name, like, oh, my foot's killing me. All they have to do is say, oh, you should ask the doctor about shockwave therapy. It's great. And that's all. That's it. And almost kind of stop there, because you want to entice them, like, okay, now they see the banner. They come in the room. So it's just a matter of being on the same page with teamwork with your staff, like Cindy said, but I guess you'll discuss that later. That's it. Offer your patients a new treatment modality, work less and earn more revenue. I saw this quote. I think it's great. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great, by John D. Rockefeller. So if your practice is good, what can I do to elevate it? I can add something that's very, very low risk, not a big financial investment, that's going to produce revenue and make my patients happy, enable me to compete. This would be the product for you.
And that's the thing too, is the low risk financially, especially if you're just starting out. I just never recommend to my startup practices that they incorporate, some ancillary service that's going to cost them $2,000 a month, because they don't have it and they don't have the patient volume for it. So, really consider what makes the most sense financially for you when you're incorporating, something new like this.
And for a new practice, there's no payments for 6 months. So it gives you enough time buffer to market it, to use it, to create revenue. A lot of you could probably in 6 months actually pay off the system, which I know sounds like really, but yes, it's extremely possible.
Again, if you talk about it and if your staff knows about it, absolutely. So here's Paul's information, Paul at ZimmerUSASales.com. or 917-270-3592. And I'll have this up at the very end of this afternoon's presentations. So, and if anyone needs Paul's information, you can also just reach out to me. But thank you, Paul, and thank you, C. So now we're right back on time.
All right, perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, so now we have Cyril Thomas. If you are on, which I think you are, please unmute yourself and make sure, Paul, you mute yourself again. And I am going to bring up Cyril's slides.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. All
Hope
right.
everyone's doing well on the Saturday morning. Thank you, Cindy, for
Thank you for
hosting.
joining us. So Cyril, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then you can see my screen, correct? And we are recording. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, awesome. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cindy. Thank you for hosting this meeting this morning. We're going to quickly talk about, so my name's Cyril Thomas. I am the owner of Provider Link. I'm also, my experience is as a practice administrator for a podiatry practice, 4 locations, 4 doctors. We see close to 400 new patients per month. And so, you know, Cindy was talking about successful clinic days and staffing issues, and we've run into staffing issues over the last number of years. We had, a number of issues as far as getting things done in the office. That makes for a successful clinic day. So everything from data entry, Cindy, next slide. And next slide, we can move past this. Everything from benefits verification, data entry, answering phones, scheduling appointments, prescription refills, and having the doctors finish their notes within 24 to 48 hours. All this back end work, administrative work, never got done. And you don't have the time when you're seeing patients and you're in a busy clinic. And even if it's not a super busy clinic, when you only have 1 or 2 employees, trying to see patients and get everything done becomes a challenge. And so a number of years ago in our clinic, 5 years ago, I started using virtual assistants. And so, the key with that is being able, I never advocate getting rid of staff. What I did was through natural attrition, and when I needed administrative tasks done, I took administrative tasks from job descriptions, put them into a new position, and hired a virtual assistant. And so, next slide, Cindy. Other things that virtual assistants can do and that we never had time to do, or we would struggle to find time to do. And some of this stuff is nice to do, not necessary, but it's good to be able to follow patient surveys and reviews, following up with patients in the office, appointment reminders, inventory ordering, prior auths, which goes along with benefits verifications. These are all must-do tasks that we don't have time to do. And so we started with virtual assistants. And so our virtual assistants now do all these tasks plus more, and our staff on site only deals with direct patient care. They don't have to worry about answering phones. They don't have to worry about making appointments. They
Which
don't have
goes back to the customer service, the medical customer service. Like that's what you're providing, and taking all of these menial things away really allows patients to feel like, wow, I went into that office and the person at the front desk made eye contact with me and smiled, and I felt like I was welcome there, not just a number.
Right. And do you know how many offices so we do competitives yearly just to see what everyone else is doing as far as pricing is concerned. Out of 10 offices that we call, we never get a live person to answer the phone, which is key, I think, especially if you're trying to make new patient appointments, because a new patient's going to call, and if you don't answer the phone, and they have to leave a message. No one likes leaving a message, right? We live in an instant gratification society. So when I want an appointment, I want it right now. I'm just going to go down the line and I'm going to call the next number
Right.
next podiatrist to see if I can get an appointment. And so when I do my competitives, 8 out of 10 clinics, we're having to leave messages, and six out of those 8 messages, we may get one call back. So the one thing that our VAs have helped us do is our phones get answered every single time. Well, maybe not every single time, but definitely 9 out of 10 times. And so, which is key, which helps us, with our new patient appointment rate, which is close to 400 appointments per month. Next slide, Cindy.
Sorry, hold on one second. I'm just having a little technical issue.
And we don't really need the slides as we continue. But our VAs help us, and they're amazing. Our vetting and so what I've done now is I'm helping doctors throughout the nation hire and staff with VAs for these menial but necessary admin tasks that no one has really time for and no one really wants to do a lot of the times. And so our pricing is very affordable. It's about half the cost, less than half the cost of an on-site staff member. We have preferred pricing with Pinnacle and with Cindy for all members, between $7 and $9 an hour, depending upon the tasks that you want them to do.
Cheryl, everybody's going to ask the question, where are these people from? Can we understand their English? I know my doctors, that's what they're going to ask you.
Yes. So I vet them personally. And because, RBAs are from Ecuador and from the Philippines primarily. I vet these VAs for their English skills, their grammar skills. We test them to make sure that they have good grammar skills, that they can speak well, especially my VAs that answer the phones. I want to make sure that they speak well and that our patients can understand them. And so the vetting process is pretty rigorous. A lot of them come with experience. A lot of our health insurance companies, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they actually have call centers in the Philippines, Ecuador, Honduras, Guatemala, and they come with a lot of experience because a lot of these VAs have worked in these call centers, so they understand our health insurance benefits and how that works.
Yeah, they're highly trained. So, Cyril, we're running short on time, so I just want to make sure that everyone sees your information, how they get in touch with you. So, Cyril, Cyril at aristagroups.com, and the website is provider-link.com. Direct phone number is 281-819-6890. And sorry about that technical difficulty. My PowerPoint just updated in the middle of all of this. Technology is great. So thank you, Cyril, for joining us today. And your information will also be up at the very end of this meeting.
Thank you
so much. All right, next up we have Pete from Swift. So Pete.
How are you, Cindy?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay, so 1 second here, and all right. Here we go. Pete, I'll let you introduce yourself and get right into it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for hosting this. Always like being a part of this session, so really appreciate it. And I'll dive right into it because I know we are trying to keep tight on time. So folks, my name is Pete Turnbull. I'm the CMO for Swift, one of the founders of Swift USA. So we're the group that look after Swift distribution in the United States. So what we would do for this session, just based on time, is really kind of provide a bit of an update in terms of where we are with clinical conditions that we're treating and with some of the commercial options we have now with the Swift program. I know a lot of you guys have heard of Swift, maybe from previous sessions, so give you a few updates. For those of you who aren't familiar with Swift, it's a non-destructive microwave energy that we use to treat a variety of conditions. And the interesting thing, and with the science and research we're now doing, is we're really just uncovering some of the things that microwave, and especially low dose microwave energy, can do to tissue. The primary research and outcomes has been in warts. So we use microwave energy to stimulate an immune response, a global immune response in warts. We can also use it to create heat, which is what we're doing to actually treat onychomycosis. So we'll talk about a little bit about that further down. But we can also trigger these interesting denervation effects with microwave. And so that's what we're using to treat IPKs and painful lesions as well. Quick update on the wart side. Most people would be most familiar with sort of the impact that Swift is having on warts. It's where the bulk of our research has been. That research continues to expand. We're actually in the middle of an RCT, a comparative RCT, but we've also got more and more case studies that come out. And so this is a slide we put together recently just to highlight it. And I know we've been talking about how effective Swift is, but when you really stack it up against other modalities, this is where the sort of value comes through. And I like to always talk about the impact Swift can have on your practice, but we really don't have that impact unless we have game-changing clinical results. And this is really highlighting that. So we're now really confidently above 85% efficacy, right in that sort of mid-80s range, which is about 2 times more effective than destructive modalities. So traditional insurance-based coverage for wart treatment, you can offer your patients something that is 100% more effective when you look at clinical data. And that's something that you can hang your hat on when you're presenting these. As Paul said earlier, this is not a sales pitch, it's just an education concept. So you're just educating your patients as to options. And when you present that data, it becomes really obvious as to what their best option is. So that's on the wart front. Cindy, you're nailing the slides, by the way. Mm-hmm. The other area we're seeing lots and lots of really interesting sort of feedback and clinical data on is with IPKs and with poros as well. So 2 interesting things happening here. Number one, we're seeing sustained pain relief for these patients. So rather than just coming in for debridement and offloading, we're using microwave energy to create some denervation. And that's resulting in very nice sustained pain relief for these patients. So rather than coming in every 1 to 2 months, they're coming in every 6 to 9. So great pain relief for them, but we're also seeing full clearance in some cases. So as we're looking at more and more of these, we're seeing that more than 50% of these lesions when biopsied are coming back as being positive for deeply seated verruca.
Which flows right into the presentation following UP about biopsies and why you should be doing more biopsies, and it all comes full circle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's and when this actually got brought to us by our providers because they were doing biopsies in these conditions that they thought were more persistent. And it was those biopsies that led to them saying, you know what, there might actually be something viral here. Why don't we try treating with Swift? And then they started seeing these types of results. So it is that kind of data and information that drives it. So on to fungal nail. This is now early stage. We've got a feasibility study happening in Canada. We've got several case studies across the world that we're sort of combining on. We're now at a stage where the protocol we've got is showing some really good results. So we actually use microwave to kill the fungus. So it's not an immune-based thing. This is actually heat-based destruction. But there is a scientific theory on immunity as well, which we can talk deeper on later. Good results, early stage. Would love to talk to you guys about this more if you are interested in this and how it's stacking up. The other update for us is our new lease program. The program we're rolling out now is really interesting. It's only $99 a month in your year 1 to acquire the system. After that, it jumps to high 500s. We've got a discount with Cindy's group, with Pinnacle, that brings it down into that range. You get the system, 10 boxes of applicator tips, which is 100 tips. Once you've gone through 90 tips, you've paid off the investment. So you've got everything you need to pay off your investment in here. Most people pay it off within the first 6 to 9 months. And after that, you can walk your way out of the lease with no penalty or interest if you want to. So that's something we work with you on to give you the best guidance. with that lease program, this is kind of a typical illustration of what you can expect profit wise if you're getting, 3 patients a month with warts, 2 patients a month for IPKs, trying to be somewhat conservative here. You're not going to convert all of your wart patients to Swift. Our average is about 70%. But if you get 3 and 2, you're going to be in a nice profit impact. So good outcomes, good profit, good patient flow, differentiation. You need 25 patients in total to achieve payback. Next slide.
If you don't have those in your practice, there's a marketing problem, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we do a lot of that. I won't talk about it on this call, but we do a lot of support to help with that patient flow. The other thing we offer is a payback guarantee. So Swift is a win-win. If you guys are winning, we're winning. If you're losing, we're losing. If it doesn't work for some reason within the first 24 months and you haven't paid the investment off, we give you a buyback option, or we invest in paid advertising until you've seen your 25 patients. So it takes the risk out of the investment. And then again, we've got this. Go ahead, Cindy.
Do not incorporate something like this if you, the doctor, are the only person in the office who's talking about ancillary products and services, who knows about ancillary products and services. I've recently run into some issues where doctors say, no, I don't want my staff to know about anything like that. And I say, well, then why bother offering anything like this to your patients? Because the staff, they are walking testimonials. So really make sure the staff is included in your initial trainings, that they believe in it, that they don't look at it as some money-making scheme, because it works if you follow the protocol and you use it appropriately.
Totally. Yep. And this is me. Feel free to reach out. Would love to connect with you and walk you through that in more detail.
Thank you, Pete. So if anyone wants to get a hold of Pete, hello@swiftusa.com, or you can go directly to the website, swiftusa.com. And we will talk about capital savings later on as well. But Pete, thank you so much for joining us. So you can go on mute.
Really appreciate it, Cindy.
Thank you.